to this video, and today I'm going to be talking about that age-old question, tattoo apprenticeship versus self-taught. I know it's going to open up a massive divide in the comments box. I'm going to love to hear what everyone thinks about this. I'm sat on the fence with it because I've got experience from having a tattoo apprenticeship and being self-taught on certain aspects as well, which I'm going to explain this throughout this video. Before I do get into it, I'm going to weigh up the pros and cons of apprenticeship versus self-taught. I will say this, what I tend to find happen is that people that have done apprenticeships, they seem to, when they first started out, you know, they're quite humble people, and then once they get the wings, you know, and they start tattooing, something happens and they go from this humble person to like a narcissist. And then they won't help anyone, they think they're like the world's best, no one's better than them, they're hating on everyone, and it seems to be a regular thing that happens with a lot of tattooists. And what I'd say to that is, if you remember back to, if you ever learned how to drive a car, you know, when you first learn to drive a car and you're kind of scared, and you know, you got your instructor next to you and you're thinking about everything you're doing, you know, how much gas you've got going and the steering and the rest of it, and then you get this idiot just come up behind you, like right behind your car, speeding up, beeping the horn, get out of the way, get off the road, hate learners, you know, cutting up in front of you and all that. And that's how I see a lot of tattooists, you know, they start off like these learners and then something happens, and it's not fair on the learners, you know. I just find it a really weird thing which happens to a lot of tattooists. So let's get into it. First of all, apprenticeship. The pros of an apprenticeship. Now, without doubt, if you were to ask me logically, what is the best way to learn something? Well, I think the best way to learn anything is to learn from someone that already knows the thing that you want to learn. So it's a no-brainer, it's logical. Now, in the ideal world, if that was the case and your apprenticeship just involved you learning, you know, all the techniques of tattooing, then I would definitely say an apprenticeship every single time. But that's not always the case with an apprenticeship, unfortunately. Another pro for having a tattoo apprenticeship is that you're in a studio environment, and what I mean by that is, one, it's sterile, or it should be, and you're getting used to how a studio works, the ins and outs, the daily runnings of a studio, and I think that's really important if you're serious about tattooing, you know, to know how, not just how to tattoo, but how a studio runs, and you know, how to talk to clients, how to take appointments, how to price up jobs, and all that comes with a decent tattoo apprenticeship. Another pro about an apprenticeship is the fact that you're insured to tattoo. Now I know this is more like speaking like from a business point of view, but it's really important all at the same time. Well, I say you're insured, you should be insured. You know, if every apprentice that I take on, I always add them to my insurance on my studio. In the UK, it's called public liability insurance. I'm sure the States have got some equivalent to it, I don't know the name of that, but my point being is, you know, if you did happen to mess up for whatever reason, or you know, someone went into, I don't know, cardiac arrest even when you're tattooing them, then if you're not insured, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. Now, another pro about a tattoo apprenticeship is you're most likely going to be using quality equipment, quality inks, you know, needles, machines and all that. And I think this is a really important point to make, because trying to learn tattooing with like cheap machines like eBay stuff and ink from China, it's just a really bad idea. And I say this time and time again in my videos, and I know the counter argument, people say, well, what if I haven't got the money to buy quality stuff? Then what I'd say to that is save up. Just try and avoid all this eBay stuff. And if you're learning from in a studio, then the chances are you should be using quality ink and quality machines. And finally as well, with a tattoo apprenticeship, you not only get to obviously tattoo clients under a watchful eye of your mentor, but you're also, if you're not tattooing, you're watching someone else tattoo, so you're constantly learning. Because let's face it, you don't just learn from tattooing, from doing the tattoos yourself. You learn as well from watching other people as well. And being in that shop environment and being immersed in it, you're constantly learning. So it's a much quicker avenue to learn from a tattoo apprenticeship. Now, the cons of a tattoo apprenticeship. Without doubt, one of the biggest cons can be the cost. Now, a lot of places charge copious amounts of money for tattoo apprenticeships. You know, we're talking thousands and thousands of pounds. And if you're lucky enough to get one which is just unpaid, but you don't have to actually pay any money, then chances are you're onto a good thing. Now, one of the biggest cons about a tattoo apprenticeship is this. A lot of the time, a tattooist will take someone on as an apprentice, and the tattooist wrongly thinks that gives them the green light to say, right, I've now got a dog's body. So this apprentice of mine is going to clean my floors, is going to make me coffee, you know, he's going to do shop runs for me, and he's just basically going to be this slave that I've taken on, and I'm not actually going to learn him anything at the same time. And this happens more often than you think. I was at a convention just a couple of years ago, and the guy next to me on the other stall, he was a tattooist, and he had an apprentice with him. I call him an apprentice, and to be honest, from what I saw, he was just this guy's slave. He wasn't learning anything, and I actually spoke to this apprentice towards the end of the day, because he came over and he was checking our stall out and all the rest of it, and I asked him how long he'd been apprenticing for, and he said he'd been there 18 months, but he's not on skin yet. Just from the few hours that I saw him, I thought that, well, this is why you've been there 18 months and you've not learned anything, because you're not a tattoo apprentice, you're somebody's slave, you're someone's dog body. Now, when I take apprentices on, I never ask them to make me a drink. I never ask them to clean my room down after me after I've done a tattoo. I never ask them to set my equipment up for me for my tattoo. I never ask them to do a stencil for me for my tattoo. Now, do my apprentices make me a drink? Yeah, of course they do. Do they clean the shop? Yeah, they do, but I never ask them to. And I think that's the big difference there, because it's this respect. Because when I take an apprentice on, I'm taking someone on that I want to train to be the best they can be, to be a good tattooist, and ultimately they're going to make money, and then ultimately they're going to make me money as well. I don't believe in taking on someone to be a dog's body for you, and I think this is probably the biggest con about a tattoo apprenticeship, and loads of people get these wires crossed, and I know there's going to be people commenting in the box below saying, you know, well, people should earn the wings and this, that and other, and it's like, yeah, you can earn your wings through an apprenticeship, you know, like pay your dues and all the rest of it, but I think some of these shop owners, some of these studio owners, it's not about taking on someone to teach them how to tattoo, and it's purely taking on a dog's body to do all their dirty work for them, and I don't agree with that at all. Point blank, do not agree with that. So let's move on to the self-taught, the pros of being self-taught. Well, number one, you're not going to get ripped off. You're not going to spend thousands of pounds of your hard-earned cash on anyone because you're doing it yourself, self-taught. Another plus point about being self-taught is the fact that you can take your teaching and your self-apprenticeship, if you like, at your own pace. And obviously, if you've got a job, you've got family, you know, kids, family life and all the rest of it, not everyone can just quit the job and go and do a tattoo apprenticeship. You know, you still need to make money, you need to provide and all the rest of it, got bills to pay, life still goes on. So, you know, you might be the most dedicated person in the world to do a tattoo apprenticeship, but financially it might just not be viable because you can't quit your job. So that's another massive plus point about being self-taught. You can basically base your teaching around your time, even if it's like means that you're up till, you know, early hours of the morning while all your family's in bed and all the rest of it, and you're not working and you're learning then. You can always find time for yourself doing it that way. Another plus point about being self-taught is the fact that you can find your own style. Now, what I mean by that is if someone is teaching you a very specific way and a specific type of design day in, day out, you'll start adopting that mentor's techniques and their ways and their sort of style almost. And if you're learning like basically on your own, you've got like zero influence from anyone else, you'll sort of adapt your own style. And sometimes that can be a really, really good thing because it can give you an edge over all the other artists that are like quite similar to each other. So now let's talk about the cons of being self-taught. Now, if you are self-taught, then the chances are you're searching for YouTube videos, you're searching the internet, maybe reading books, this, that and the other, watching videos. And a lot of things on the internet, a lot of things on YouTube which I've seen are just wrong. You know, just wrong information. And I don't know if that's an intentional thing where people are just intentionally giving the wrong information out just so people that are self-taught get it wrong, or if the person, the people that are putting these videos on genuinely think that it's right, but it's actually not right, if that makes sense. So you got to be very, very wary watching self-help videos for tattooing. Obviously my channel, everything is 100%, so you don't have to worry about that. Make sure you subscribe to it, by the way, and check out all my videos. But yeah, there is a lot of wrong information out there. Now, another con about being self-taught is the fact that it can take a hell of a lot longer than it would do if you're doing a tattoo apprenticeship. And that goes back to that thing of learning in your own time, because obviously if you're doing a tattoo apprenticeship, chances are you're going to be in a studio maybe 5-6 days a week, every day, banging out tattoos, you know, learning stuff every single day. And if you're doing it in your own time, you might only be doing it like maybe twice a week, once a week. So the learning curve and the time it takes to actually get to a level where you're confident and maybe to a level where you're going to open your own studio can take a hell of a lot longer. It could even take years in some cases. Now, another con about being self-taught is the fact that a lot of people that try to teach themselves tend to look on eBay for cheaper alternatives for equipment, and that being machines, needles, inks. And I get why they do this, because they'll probably look at a machine, let's say a Cheyenne, which is going to cost you in excess of £500, and then you look on eBay and you'll see one on there which looks exactly the same as it for like £30, and say, well, I'm not going to spend £500, I can get one here for £30. And it's just, honestly, those machines are just not worth your cash. They really are bad machines. Like stuff from eBay. The ink, I'm not even going to get started into that because that is a whole new subject. But cheap ink from eBay is not only a waste of money, but it's actually really, really dangerous. So don't be putting that into any, don't even practice with it, it's just horrible stuff. And again, this is a con for self-taught people, because obviously they've not had the guidance for someone to say, no, this is the machines we use, this is the ink we use, these are the needles we use. Another con about being self-taught is it's probably not a sterile environment that you're tattooing in. Obviously, there's a lot of words for them. People call them kitchen magicians and, you know, scratchers and all the rest of it. And if you are tattooing, you know, in your kitchen or in your bedroom or somewhere like that, it's just not gonna, it's, you know, despite saying, oh, well, yeah, but I've cleaned it all down, it's this, that and other, it's never going to be as sterile as a purpose-built studio, which, you know, gets sterilised every day and all the surfaces are wiped clean and stuff like that. I see videos on YouTube, people tattooing in the bedrooms, they've got no clipcord sleeves on the clipcords, there's carpet on the floor, you know, carpet's not wiped clean, you can't spray disinfectant on a carpet and clean it down. You know, and then there's like carrier bags of shopping in the background, or there's, you know, there's cats running in and out, or dogs barking in the background, you know, like wagging the tails, like fur going everywhere and all the rest of it. So tattooing from a house in your bedroom or your kitchen or anything like that is never going to be as sterile as it is in the studio. So that's another con. Another con for being self-taught is you're probably not going to be insured, because I don't know what it's like in the States, but in the UK, to have public liability insurance for a tattoo studio, you need to have a premises, you need to have a proper licensed studio which is licensed by your local council. And obviously, if you're tattooing from your house, you're not going to get insurance for that. Another con about being self-taught is the fact that it's hard to build a reputation, because people, they just don't take you as serious as they would do if though you were working from a tattoo studio. And that's just logic, you know. I'd be the same, you know, if I once were to be tattooed, and someone said to me, hey, check this guy out, he's amazing. I'm like, okay, where's he based? And it's like, well, it's in his mum's house, in his bedroom. I'd be like, okay, I'm out, I'm not interested in going there. And rightly or wrongly, that's just, that, you know, if you want to come across as a professional and you want to do tattooing full time, then I'm not saying you can't build a reputation from tattooing in your kitchen, in your bedroom. What I'm saying is it will be a hell of a lot harder for people to take you serious as a serious tattooist if you are tattooing from a bedroom. And finally, another con about being self-taught is what you'll find is as soon as you tell someone that you're self-taught, other tattooists will start hating on you, you know, and they're already hating on each other. Like tattooists, they're hating everyone, but especially if you're self-taught, they will be on you. So that's just something else to look out for. Now, what I said at the beginning of the video when I said I've got experience from being, obviously having a tattoo apprenticeship and being self-taught, is I did a tattoo apprenticeship and I was learning, you know, how to set up machines, on-call machines, how to tune them, rotaries, you know, lining, colour packing, shading, all the rest of it, hygiene, how the shop worked, how the business ran. I learned all that stuff. But what my mentor didn't know how to do was realism. He didn't know how to do portraits, and there was nothing against him. He was an amazing guy, amazing tattooist, but it just wasn't his thing. He was in his comfort zone of doing traditional, hardline stuff, solid colour packing, things like that. So I basically found my own way with portrait work, and I decided, you know what, when I opened my own studio, I was going to broaden my horizons more and get into doing portrait work and realism and things like that. So from an apprenticeship point of view, I did it in a studio, but I also was self-taught in the fact that I did portraits, and how I practiced that was never practiced on human skin. I never condone that. You'll never see one of my videos where I'm condoning to practice on people, because it's a really, really bad thing. It's really irresponsible. There's practice skin out there. There's loads of different medias that you can practice on, and I practiced on just second skin. Real Skin is a good company to buy some skin from. I've done some reviews on that. I'll stick a card up on the screen, you can check out some of their skin. But basically, what I'm saying is, I can see this debate from both sides of the fence, because I've basically been on both sides. So to summarise, guys, whatever you decide to do, whether you go down the apprenticeship route, whether you go down the self-taught route, I will say this: don't hate on people for whatever they choose to do, as long as they're being responsible. And don't, guys, when you do get to where you're going, don't become a bitter, narcissistic tattooist. Share the love, guys, and just remember where you started and where you came from. So that's all from me for this video, guys. If you liked it, please hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to my channel. If you have subscribed already, hit that notification bell, you can stay up to date with all the future uploads. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this video, guys, so comment in the box below, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.